So this is obviously my review for the last Star Wars film in the Skywalker saga. Obviously, Star Wars: Rise of Skywalker. If I could, I would do my whole review with my lightsabers lit up, but I just wanted to have them here, just because obviously they're too loud. But I just got back. I think it's 12. It's 12:05. Went to see this movie. Went to see it with my dad. After like 30 minutes of blue balls from like all the effing trailers, like I swear. Like my dad even asked me what time it was when we went to see the movie. It started at 8:30. He asked me what time it was. It was like 8:50, and then there were still like three more trailers plus the stupid little generic theater ads. It was legitimately 30 minutes of trailers, and I was just like, oh my goodness, how it was getting to that point. Like it happens every once in a while, but this I think was the longest ever. And they were like, let's just tease them as much as we possibly can. It was like, okay, some new ads here, mostly old ads. They had a cool trailer for the movie Tenet. I had to actually figure out what the F that movie was about because I thought the original trailer was sweet. And then I was like, oh, okay, I definitely want to see that movie now. So I'll see that. Christopher Nolan doing his thing, getting all the same people that he always gets in. I was like, oh, look at that. Look who's in this movie. So excited for that. I didn't care though. I was like, I'm here to see Star Wars. I'm here to see the last freaking Star Wars movie in the Skywalker saga. What's gonna happen? I was scared. I'll be honest. I was super scared. I was freaking out a little bit. I didn't mind Last Jedi. You can go back and watch my review on that. I was like one of the few people. I was like, I enjoyed the movie. It reminded me of like some of the older Star Wars films because of some of the slower pacing. I don't think it was perfect by any means. I definitely don't care at all about the Canto Bite stuff and just some of the stupid stuff they did. Without a doubt, there's a lot of just bad stuff that happened in that movie. Just generically writing and plot line wise, it was like that just doesn't make any sense. So I totally get it. I completely understand why people don't like that movie. I was okay with it though. I was totally fine with it, and I was like, all right, let's see what happens though, because I was scared. It was one thing when it was like, all right, it's the next Star Wars movie, and it might not be great. This is like the end. This is it. Like they're not gonna be like, okay, it's the end of the saga, and then they're gonna jump on over and it's gonna be like Rey's saga, and they continue the story. That's not what's gonna happen. It's just done. Everything else is gonna be like a side story here and there. We might see those characters again because obviously they teased it at the end. With some stuff. I guess I should have prefaced this with spoilers, but they teased, the future of the Star Wars universe and how they're going to try to make more movies. I'll talk about when I officially, I guess, get into spoilers. I don't know how long I'm going to, do this review without spoilers because there's just so much crap to go through. Crap in the best way. So there's so much stuff to go through. Non-spoiler, I loved it. Obviously, I'm excited. I'm not depressed. I'm not sad. I was really worried. I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be excited in this or if I'm just going to be like, man, it's over and it sucked. I really enjoyed it. I heard that it was getting like pseudo mixed reviews. Like I kind of heard that like the tiniest bit. I was staying away from everything. I saw like one image from one YouTube reviewer that I watch, and I was like, he was smiling in it, and he's a giant Star Wars nerd. So I was like, okay, I think I'll be all right. That was the most I needed, and I didn't even want that. So I was like cautiously optimistic going into it, and I had a great time. Like action wise, really entertaining. Story wise, I thought they did a fantastic job wrapping up the entire saga. They did some stuff. I have to get into spoilers on this, but man, they did some stuff. They did some stuff for like the nerdy things that have been called on for decades. They did some stuff for people that don't even give a crap about the expanded universe. Like they did some stuff where I was just like, that just makes me feel good because they did some things that I appreciate. But I loved it. I thought they did a great job with the characters, the way they kind of developed throughout this film, how they connected to some of the stuff, including some of the things they did in this movie that connected back to The Last Jedi. And it was like, oh, okay, that makes some of the stuff in there a bit more relevant. And it's interesting because it makes me wonder, like, what was just, just thrown in there. Like, here's a line, here's this thing, here's that thing. And then it was like, oh, well, when it's this thing and it connects back to The Last Jedi, it makes this particular moment in the film make more sense. And it just makes me wonder, like, how much of that was just, like, maybe there was a plan there, but I kind of doubt it because obviously they were initially it was just going to be like J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, and then who the F knows for this one. And then I guess J.J. saw the movie and was like, oh, I gotta fix this shit. So he came in and then he made a great movie, and I loved it. I was super freaking happy. That's all I can say. I loved it. I thought it was great. I had a great time with it. I was super happy. It did not disappoint. And it's funny, like, I'm trying to make sure 100% that I'm not just on the hype of, like, I thought it was going to be, like, absolute garbage. Because I didn't think it was going to be garbage. I just thought I was going to be disappointed by the ending. Especially with like the rumors I'd been hearing. Like I didn't look into the rumors, but I heard rumors where it was like something happened and people were like, walking out of the test screenings and stuff, and I was freaking out. That was really what got me. I was like, I enjoyed The Last Jedi, I like Solo and all that stuff, so it really wasn't even the older movies that had me worried. It was the combination of these rumors that people were walking out of test screenings and the fact that it was like the end. Like it's like a bad ending is just a bad ending. Like you can't fix it because it's the end. Like, I mean, you can fix it if you're Mass Effect, you can do some DLC, but in movies it's kind of like, that's it, we did it. They aren't gonna redo it and be like, here's the complete, the good ending, for the movies. Like once they do it, that's it. So that's what really had me freaked out the most. I wasn't concerned based on the older movies, not to mention the fact that obviously it wasn't Rian Johnson, it was J.J. Abrams again. So I was just curious, like, man, how long is the movie gonna be and stuff like that? How are they gonna wrap that stuff up? But I thought it was incredibly well done. That's officially the end of spoilers. So if you have not seen the movie yet, you should go see it. You should have seen it by now. If you're watching this, you should have already seen it. But getting into spoilers, there's like a million things to talk about. First off, Chewie got his medal. That was amazing. Luke and Leia training. That was freaking amazing. Leia had a lightsaber. They did like the CG of the young Luke and young Leia. That was super freaking cool. Rey has her own lightsaber at the end. She's got like a yellow lightsaber, and it's like a dial thing. And it looked, and maybe I'm crazy, I might have to see the movie a second time, but it looked like it changed colors when she did it. It legitimately looked like it went through, and as it was like sparking, it looked like it was multiple colors in the beginning portion, and it came out and it was yellow, and I was like, it looked like she kind of flipped through different colors, and I thought that was interesting. Favorite thing, this has to be one of my favorite things in the whole movie, and this is the expanded universe stuff. When Rey was getting like the connection to all the past Jedi, and it was like, here's Anakin Skywalker, here's Mace Windu, here's Qui-Gon Jinn, here's Yoda. They used a clip of Alec Guinness as Obi-Wan Kenobi saying "afraid," and they made it Rey again. Here's that, and I knew I heard a voice, and I was like, what? I'm hearing this woman's voice, and I couldn't figure out what the F I was hearing. I was like, I felt like I heard a woman's voice, and then it was just like all the the movie voices. I was like, there's Mace Windu and stuff like that, and I was like, I'm hearing these voices, and I just can't place it right now. Because I'm just like, holy crap, they brought everybody back. They got, Hayden Christensen and all that stuff. And so, the credits are scrolling and stuff, and then they do this as, like, the last people that get credited, and it's, like, the voices of the past Jedi. And they had Ahsoka Tano and Kanan Jarrus from Clone Wars and Rebels in there. And that's obviously expanded universe stuff. They had the Ghost in Rogue One. Chopper is also in Rogue One. And so, once again, this is expanded universe stuff if you watch the cartoons. Ahsoka is Anakin's former apprentice, and Kanan is the former teacher of Ezra, who's in Clone Wars. I don't believe they did anything for Ezra's name. Like, I was kind of going through just looking. Oddly enough, I was looking at, like, the actual actors' names because I know their names. And so when I was seeing their names, then I would look at the character, and I was like, oh, I know who that is. And I was like, holy crap. So I'd have to see the names again to get everyone. But that was amazing. I love that. Like, I love it whenever they do that sort of stuff, and it's like, it is an expanded universe. They do this stuff, and it's the final movie, and they put that there for fans, because people who just go see the movies don't give a crap. They don't even know who Ahsoka Tano is or Kanan Jarrus, and that stuff was awesome. I was like, that's freaking amazing. I was so happy to see see those names up there. So that was really cool. That was just awesome. Like, I love that. That was an amazing moment. Everything they did with the Emperor, I thought was good. Rey as a Palpatine, that was something that I'm sure I've heard that theory before. It's been a minute, because admittedly, I think it was after The Force Awakens, it was like, oh, maybe she's the Skywalker, maybe she's a lost, child and stuff like that. And then I'm sure I heard things where it's like, what if she was a Palpatine and stuff like that. And then, of course, after The Last Jedi came out, all you heard about was how people hated The Last Jedi and how they were going to, like, boycott Star Wars forever. So then it was like all the theories kind of went out the window, and it was, like, replaced with all hatred. So I don't remember. I'm sure that theory's been out there for, since the first one. But I was like, oh, man. That makes sense. That's a really cool idea. And I loved it, the way they teased it, where it was like, she does the Force lightning. And I was hoping that they would do sort of, once again, this is expanded universe stuff. I thought maybe, just for like a split second, I was like, they could kind of do some Jedi Outcast type stuff, Kyle Katarn just did. He was a dude. It was like he learned the ways of the Force, and he also used some dark side powers. Like he used lightning, and he turned to the dark side even, and he came. He kind of came back and he figured himself out. And I was like, they could totally do it. And when they had the scene where she's like pulling the ship down, I was like, of course she's so powerful. And I was like, they're gonna do something. And that was the thing. Going through the movie is like, all right, she's doing some stuff here. She even does Force healing, which is a new ability that we haven't seen before. So. Yeah, we haven't seen that before. I'm trying to really skirt around some very specific stuff right now, but if you know, then you know what I mean. Very recently as well. So, they're showing Force powers that we hadn't seen before as far as developing things that, showed up in The Last Jedi. They had, like how they have this connection between Rey and Kylo Ren, where when they're talking to stuff, and it's like Kylo Ren like fills the water on his face after they have the conversation, and they expand on that in this movie. I thought that was really cool. I was like, all right, that's something that was kind of introduced, and like a new thing that, admittedly, that is one of the cooler parts of The Last Jedi. I was like, that's new Force powers are always really entertaining, and so they kind of kicked that to 11. It was like, boom, she's healing people, boom, they're like teleporting stuff. Like when Kylo grabs the necklace and he rips it off of her, and he actually has it, and he takes it from her. That was super cool. And then they have like an actual Force mental like lightsaber battle, and they're like cutting stuff, and so she like cuts a bag and all the beads hit the ground, or the seeds or whatever, and then they're all on the ground where she is on the ship. And then when they actually destroy the pedestal that's holding Vader's mask, that's when Kylo Ren sees it hit the ground. He's like, oh crap, I know where she is. And I love that idea. And then of course at the end, she puts the lightsaber behind her back. It's like, magic. So I was like, that was actually really sweet. I was like, that's a super cool thing. And I just love the way it was handled. Kylo Ren, going back to Ben Solo, and then we get Han Solo show up. Luke, obviously, we knew was gonna pop in there, but they also had Leia in there, and that was one of my favorite things. I thought they didn't have as much footage as they did, because it was like, obviously, they didn't have like brand new footage to use. So it's like, all right, how is this really going to end up playing out? And of course they said like, oh, well, we have footage and we kind of repurposed it to fit into the film. I didn't think she was going to actually be in the whole movie the way that they did it. And I was super happy about that. And I was like, I'll be happy with whatever they do. And the way it was done was just perfect. And, and I was like, well, how are they going to do it? Like, are they just going to end it? Is she going to like, die off screen type stuff? Like, how is this going to play out where it's the ending? And it was just so incredibly well done. And I loved how it was handled. And my favorite thing has to be, and I'm probably say that a lot, but at the end, when Kylo actually, brings Rey back to life, and I knew that was going to happen. Like when he brought her back to life, I was like, she mentions early on, it's like, basically, that has to start up now. I'm going to have to turn this. I'm just going to have to freeze for this one. So they're talking, and when she heals like the serpent underground, it's like, I basically gave a bit of my life force to it. And so as soon as it got to the end where it was like, okay, well, she's like dead, I knew that there's no way that he was going to be able to give his life force, and then she comes back to life, and then he stays. I'm like, well, she's dead, so he would literally have to give everything. The kiss was interesting. Once again, I guess, kept that trend going. Probably less awkward. I mean, at least he saved her life. In Last Jedi, it was just a weird kiss. But I was like, okay, that's interesting. And then he smiles, and then he dies. And I was like, oh, that's crazy. And I didn't expect Rey to die either. When that actually happened, I was surprised by that. But it was kind of the same element that they've kind of done, I guess really since the last movie, where it was like people utilizing so much power within the Force that they aren't used to doing. And, same happens with Leia early on in the film when she basically has to sacrifice herself in order to get Kylo to basically turn back to being Ben Solo. And I thought that was really cool. I was like, I love that idea. I thought it was really entertaining. I thought, of course, he was going to die. And then I was like, oh, well, of course, she can heal him and stuff. And, Rey's good and stuff like that. So she heals him. And then we have the cool scene with Han Solo. And he chucks the lightsaber out. And then it was like, all right. So Rey ends up going back to the planet where Luke was. And, of course, they make the joke. I think he did this a million times in the movie. But that was probably the most obvious one where, Luke catches the lightsaber. And he's like, a Jedi's weapon deserves more respect. And it's like, obviously, that was a call to the last movie where even Mark Hamill himself was like, I don't necessarily agree with the way Luke was handled. So, it was a cool little funny joke on that. It was like, hey, you should show more respect to lightsabers. But it was just so well done. And then he's like, I think Leia will want you to have something. And he's like, you're going to take both. And I was like, oh, she's going to take both lightsabers, which means, of course, she's going to keep Leia's lightsaber. They're going to give the Skywalker lightsaber back to the Skywalker family, and it's going to be Ben Solo's, or, however you want to look at it, but, Skywalker family. And I was like, that's super sweet. Like, I can't wait to see that. I would love to have seen them fight, but then I knew it wouldn't have made sense, because I'm like, well, if they do a fight against the Emperor, it's going to be, CG style episode 3. Which admittedly I wouldn't want too much. When it was in episode 3, I was like, okay, I thought it was super cool. But I wouldn't want to see that pop up and then he's flipping and flying all over the place against Rey and Kylo. So I was like, they're most likely not going to do that, and of course they don't. And they end it in a very different way than I was expecting, because they're like, boom, they have the lightsabers together, very cool looking scene. He's like, oh, okay. F all that crap. And it was just like, boom, their lightsabers go flying, and he just like brings them to their knees, and he like sucks the essence out of their bodies. And then he does like the crazy lightning storm, and ships are falling out of the sky. So well done. Like, it just looks so cool. And then he's like, all right, as I fell down the pit, I'm going to cast off, the last Jedi, or last Skywalker. And he sends him flying down this pit. Of course, I knew he wasn't going to die there. And then he's like trying to kill Rey, and it was just so good. And then, Kylo fighting against the Knights of Ren and stuff. That was like the one thing. It was like, at least we had him in there. We can't get like a full explanation. They don't get to have really big characters and stuff like that. When they first showed up and they were like redoing his helmet, I'm pretty sure I don't remember if it was actually a mask sitting on the ground now or if it was one of the other people, because I didn't realize they were people. I just saw the helmets. I just thought they were helmets just sitting around. So I don't know if they were or not, but I feel like one of those helmets had to have been a reference to Knights of the Old Republic, because they look just like the Darth Revan one. It was either not Darth Revan. I can't think of the other dude's name who's in there, like the other Sith Lord that you actually fight before you figure out all the stuff about Darth Revan. It looked like his mask, and I was like, it looks just like that mask from Knights of the Old Republic. So I don't know if that was a reference or if I was just making it up in my head just because it was basically had straight lines going across. I was like, I feel like that's a reference. Could be wrong. That's just what I saw. I'd have to see it again. But love the ending. I love the fight. Like, and it was kind of funny when he pulls out the lightsaber and they kind of pause. He's just like, man, yeah, it happened. It happened. So now I got a lightsaber, and he just starts beating them all up and stuff. And one thing, I don't know if people are gonna like hate this scene or not, or some people might get it, some people might not. But once again, one of my favorite things in this movie, when he's fighting against them, and they do this with Rey as well, where she's, when she's kind of going closer to the dark side stuff, when it comes to Jedi versus Sith, when they fight, it's active versus reactive. And with Kylo, when he was fighting against the Knights of Ren, he's doing his stuff, and he's still kind of in the middle because, of course, he like jumps over the dude at the end and stabs him in the back still. But there's the scene where he has the lightsaber, he's doing his thing, and he flips it, and he like basically does it to guard. And he's sitting there, and I was like, that's weird. And then the guy like does it, and he kind of does that breath where he's like, whew. And that's because he was kind of using more of the light side, which is reactive, because he knew what was about to happen. So he was kind of blocking ahead of time, but he did it like a little too early. And then when the guy did it, he was like, whew, because that's what Jedi do. And that may or may not have also been a callback to the big fight scene from The Last Jedi, which there are quite a few videos that kind of tear that fight scene apart, where it looks super sweet, but if you actually go into the details, there's people like doing random stuff in the background so that they don't rush into the fight, because they didn't really choreograph it as well as they should have. So I feel like that may or may not have also been a nod, but I love that moment because that was just one of those random expanded lore type things where it's like, oh, because Jedi kind of use things intuitively, you kind of think ahead of the game. Like, it's still reactive, even though he was actively doing it, it was still more of a defense mechanism than it was to attack. So like, he flips it behind him, and then the guy kind of hits it way after, and he was like, whew, like, thank goodness I actually, did that right, because it kind of took him a minute to reallocate to basically being a Jedi again. So I thought that was kind of cool, and I could be totally wrong, but I feel like that's what that was, referencing, is the fact that Jedi, kind of actively defend, and so he kind of did it ahead of time. It was just super early. And then when they have the scene with the two of them fighting with Kylo and Rey, Rey is the one who's, getting closer to the dark side. Like, she's the one really attacking him. Like, he was pretty much defending during that whole fight where they're, fighting in the sea. And he's just kind of defending and blocking and stuff like that. And he has some of his active moments. But she was the one that was kind of losing it because he was still holding on to the dark side at that point. But she was the one getting closer to it. and he was just kind of just like, yeah, whatever, I'm here. So she was the one actively attacking him, and he was kind of blocking. I was like, oh, that's interesting. They're kind of doing this swap here, and we get to see that play out. And of course, she stays light side, and he goes to the light side. But I thought that was so cool. And like I said, I could be reading too far into that stuff just because of my nerdiness with Star Wars and how I know that that's, like even the different color lightsabers mean stuff. So, like Rey having the yellow at the end. I can't remember what yellow actually means, but even little stuff like that, it all means something. So I just thought that was super cool. And like I said, I probably could have been looking too far into that, but I don't think I was in that case. When I first started the movie, I also thought they were on Mustafar, which I was about to flip out, and then it was a different plan. I was like, oh, okay. Well, I was jumping the gun on that, but super cool. At the start of the movie, they were like, look, let's do some cool stuff right now. Kylo Ren's doing this. He wiped some people out. He got what I thought was going to be a Sith holocron, but it was a Sith waypoint or whatever they called it. I was like, I hadn't heard of those. I just thought it was a holocron. But then it's like, okay, he does that. Then he goes to this planet, and I love the design for it, where it's like lightning is striking underneath like this floating pyramid thing, which I thought was super cool. Which is also what they have in Star Wars Rebels. It's kind of the same thing, where except it's like inside of the it's almost like a pyramid inside of a pyramid. If you haven't seen Star Wars Rebels, I highly recommend the season 2 finale. If you like Star Wars, period, that's one of the best things ever made. Even if you don't really know the characters of the story, that is just one of the best moments in all of Star Wars. Is that season 2 finale for Clone Wars or for Rebels? It's just so freaking good. But it was cool, and he walks in, and it's like lightning striking underneath, and he finds Palpatine, and they do, of course, kind of what I figured, what everyone figured. If you once again go into the expanded universe, the dude's been around forever. That dude's dying every freaking day. Like the Emperor is always dead, and he's always got clones, or he's got robots or something that have his face on it, because he's never actually dead. He's always behind the scenes. When things go south, he comes back a little bit later, and that's just how it plays out. It's in the comics, it's in video games, it's now officially canonized as him having existed this entire time. And I love that idea. And he was like, I made Snoke, and they even show Snoke just it's just whatever. He wasn't special. He was just a bunch of Snokes in the tube. So that was interesting. I was like, okay, easy way to do it. Just make it, that was his puppet the whole time. And it was just so well done. It was just, I thought it was well done. I don't know how much longer I can kind of gush about it. Obviously, I loved it. I had a great time with the movie. I thought the action was good. I thought the characters were well done. Finn, of course, they show he's just full on Force sensitive. At the end when Rey dies, he knows. So I was like, okay, that's interesting. They can't really go anywhere with that because it's the last movie. So I thought it was interesting to put it in there where he was legitimately Force sensitive. I thought that was an interesting choice to make. But I was like, okay, that's cool. Dio, I thought was an interesting droid who's voiced by J.J. Abrams. I thought he was really funny, and it was simple because I was like, okay, he actually talks, but they kept it really simple because I was kind of worried that he would just be talking, but he talks less than any of the other droids that are just beeps and stuff. So I was like, okay, that it was well done, and it's definitely funny. He's like, hello, and then when Rey reaches out, he's like, no, thank you. I thought that was really funny. So they did some good stuff there. Chewie, breaking down when Leia died was crazy. Like I said, him getting his medal, that was awesome. What else? What else is amazing in this movie? Lando Calrissian. That was just cool. It was just, Lando Calrissian is cool. The one woman is not his daughter. I thought they were going to bring that from the comics where it was going to be his daughter. That was not the case. I was surprised by that. And then they kind of tease let's find out where you are from. So that should be something. Maybe they will make it. Maybe that was kind of the point of that, where it was she has no idea. And if anyone's going to have a buttload of kids that he doesn't know got stolen or doesn't know about in general, it's Lando Calrissian. So that would have made a lot of sense. So we'll see how that ends up playing out. But all in all, obviously, I love this. I think I'm going to have to do another video where I'm a bit calmer. Maybe after the second time I see it, kind of talk a bit more about some of the other things I noticed. But I felt like I noticed a decent amount for it to be my first viewing, because I was like, all right, what's happening here? What's this? What's that? This references this. This might be a reference to that. So I felt like I picked up on a lot of the little nuanced stuff. But all in all, it was really well done. Oh, the Wedge Antilles was in this movie. That blew my mind. I couldn't believe it. I was like, they have effing Wedge Antilles. Yes. That's wild. That was crazy. They had someone else. I don't know who it was, but it was a scene where C-3PO said something, and there was a dude at the bar. I couldn't recognize who that was, but the people, a few seats down, somebody freaked out, and I was like, that's somebody. I couldn't hear what they said. So I didn't recognize who that was at all, so I didn't get that reference. But that was somebody. I don't know what else. I think that's about everything. That's all I can think of now. It's late. Yeah. Oh man, it's 12:30 now. I've been talking too long. I gotta go to work. But I'm super happy that I really enjoyed this. It was. I was worried. I was like, this is either gonna be, last year was like the year of Spider-Man for me. This year I was hoping was gonna be the year of Star Wars. Fallen Jedi or Fallen Order apparently is a really good game. I haven't gotten it yet. I don't have money like that, but apparently that's a good game. So I was happy about that. Mandalorian has been freaking fantastic. The final episode, of course, is next Friday. I cannot wait to see how that ends up playing out. And then this was great. So it was good. Everything was good. Everything was fine. We've got a bunch of funny references from The Mandalorian with the Christmas special and talking about, how stormtroopers can't shoot, which was all over the place in this movie. Like when they're on the ship and they're running through and they're just like boom, boom, boom. Aside from Poe getting shot in the arm once, they were just like ducking and dodging. I'm like, yeah, that's stormtroopers for you. But it was so good. It was good, and I'm just happy. It ended well. They went back to the beginning. They ended on Tatooine with the two sons. They go back to the original location, which you can actually go to that location. I remember watching something where they were like, yeah, we built it for the original movie, and we just left them there. Like, you can literally just go out to the desert, and they're there. I forgot where that was filmed. I want to say it was Sudan, but that's probably totally wrong. I'm just pulling that out of nowhere. But yeah, like, that's there. Like, Uncle Owen and Aunt Beru's house it's there. You can just walk and it's like, oh, check it out, there it is. I don't know if the pit part actually is. I don't know if they had to recreate that part, but I know like the dome section. I know that that's actually still just sitting in the desert, and you can just go out and see it whenever you want. So that was pretty cool. I thought that was awesome. But I'm just happy. It was a good ending for the series. I'm actually excited to just watch other people's reviews and see what everyone else thought. Like I heard a little bit that it was mixed, but for me, I was like, yeah, it's not perfect because obviously it's the last one, because I would have loved more for like the Knights of Ren. Like they existed and then they vanished and then poof. So it was like, I don't know, I kind of made up a different timeline in my head because it seemed like with them destroying the Jedi Academy, I had always assumed that was like fairly soon after, and it was a bunch of people that turned to the dark side with Kylo Ren, but they were just random people who were just like soldiers, kind of. They were just the people he trusted most. So it was like, oh, okay, they weren't in that same like crazy level that I thought, because I thought for sure they were all Academy students like he was. So I was totally wrong. That would have been cool, and if one person did all three movies, that probably could have been the case, at least somewhere in there, because then you'd have like 5 people with lightsabers and stuff. But I don't know. I aside from that, I think everything was pretty much done as best as it possibly could be. I think that was done as best as it possibly could have been. And I'm just super happy with it. So, of course, we'll love to know what you guys thought about the final Star Wars film in the Skywalker saga. Of course, we know we're going to get more Star Wars movies. Who knows when that'll happen, though? Who knows? I feel like after things that, recent events throughout the past couple of years, they aren't going to be pumping them out every single year, which thank goodness. I hate to say I'm glad it kind of failed on them, but I am kind of happy that they aren't going to be like every single year there's a new Star Wars movie, because it's not always going to be perfect, like the perfect group of people doing it, obviously, with, The Last Jedi. So I'm glad it's going to be like, a bit slower paced. It's going to be kind of how it should be, even if they're a lot more frequent than they have been in the past. At least, a couple of years between, have one person doing it. I heard rumors that Jon Favreau might do the next trilogy, which would be great. Him and Dave Filoni. Oh man, Dave Filoni. I would love it if he did it, but either way, they're doing a great job with Mandalorian, so I would totally trust either of them, especially Dave Filoni. Considering what he's done with the TV shows, I would be like, sure, do like 20 movies. I feel like he could. But I'm just happy. I'm happy where we are with the ending. I think it was done well. I can't wait to see all the merchandise where it's like, check out Leia's lightsaber and Rey's new lightsaber. Like, they're going to sell the crap out of those for sure. The new altered version of Luke's lightsaber, because they had like the little leather band around it because they put it back together. I wouldn't be surprised if that was there. But it was good. I'm happy with what we got. We'd love to know what you guys thought about it. So please put your comments down in the comment section below. And of course, thanks for watching.